part of my journey has been knowing, feeling I have to do something, but then it takes me a while to execute.
Mm.
So meaning part of my shadow is kind of like putting things under the carpet and like I'll do it tomorrow. So
Wow.
looking back, because again now it only makes sense now. Like
Yeah.
actually, Steve Jobs has a quote that says something like that: "When you look back, you can connect the dots."
Yeah.
So 2015, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. There's something here for me. Like I feel it. But
Sure.
then it takes me 3 years. 2018, I get my license.
Wow.
2018, I get my license. And when I say real estate found me, I found real estate, is because I knew in the back of my mind, I knew that like when we are entrepreneurs, there is no place to hide. Meaning our business, our life is a direct reflection of who we are being. So I
Yep.
knew, Jose, I'm like, if I get my license, in order for me to be successful, I'm going to have to confront all of the fears that I have, all of the limiting beliefs. Like, I'm going to have to confront it because in business, uh, yes, we can be the victims, but the reality is that we can easily find 5, 10, 20 examples of, let's say, in the business, real estate agents who are having the best year of their careers. And then we can find the opposites. So then is it really the market or is the individual? So then 2018, I get my license. And I get my license. And at that point, Jose, um, my because of the fear. So here's is what was happening. Now I can understand it. I didn't understand it back then, but what was happening is that I was living in fear, shame, and guilt, and those conscious levels are like the lowest conscious levels. And when I was in fear, guilt, and shame, what happens is that it's very hard to take action when you feel like that because you feel the world is against you. So then why I was feeling shame and guilt? Well, nobody knew, only myself. Every single month I was going into more debt. So long story short, I was spending more than what I was making. And again, that happened month after month until I didn't have more like credit. And then
Yeah.
I couldn't pay the credit card. So then I couldn't pay the mortgage. And so it got to the point where, okay, now our home is in pre-foreclosure. And like literally, Jose, like we are a couple days away from like losing the house. And finally I have to come clean. And I have to come clean to my family. Like, we need some help. And I have to come clean to my wife. But that was like a huge liberation because I was living with that lie, like the shame and guilt of like having a family and going through all of that. So then that's when it hit. So now we're 2019. That's when it hits me. I'm like, okay, that's it. Enough. Enough is enough. I have my real estate license. I know there is huge potential, but I never had a sales job. I never saw myself as a business owner. The story I was telling myself was a story of I am not good enough, I am not deserving, I I have an accent, like who's gonna buy from me? I'm not a salesperson. So I had to quickly learn that I needed to do two things. One, learn about the business, and then number two, I just needed to like write a new story or about who I think I am. And then that's when we meet pretty much because I think that's what now it's 2020. I see a video on YouTube like one day, bro, so crazy how one decision can change your life. I go on YouTube and I type like how to sell more homes, something like that. And then I see a video of Danny Morel,
Right.
and on a podcast he's talking about like his brokerage, Intero, California, like listings. And I'm like, I feel something. I like I feel pull towards him. Like there's something, and he's talking about the business. right? Like you have to learn about the business. You have to know how to pre-qualify buyers and pre-qualify sellers. You have to be ready for a listing appointment. You have to have mastery of your business. And then he says, because your business is a reflection of you. And if you want your business to change, you have to change. And by the way, if you are anywhere in the United States, I have like a coaching program. And I click learn more. And so 2020, January 12th, 2020, I joined his kind of like real estate coaching program launch. And that's when the journey of mastery on the business, mastery, self mastery begins.
Wow.
And I think that's the time where we meet. I think it's
That's
2020, 2021.
that's when we eventually end up connecting through the program, and then I got to connect with you a little bit more on a personal level. There was right there. There was so many thoughts, so many things you just brought up. So if we were to just break all of this apart,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because just today I was having a conversation with this person that is part of our team on the lending side, an amazing human being, Gustavo, amazing person, beautiful soul. Like he cares so much for people. One of the few people that I know that generally cares for other people.
Yeah.
His only flaw, you could say, or the thing that he's working on is that he has built a reputation where things don't get delivered on time. So then it's like he's lying. It feels like he could be lying to people, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about procrastination. We were talking about that stuff. And I said, man, the best thing you could do for yourself is to at least be honest with the rest of the world or yourself when you feel like you have too much in your plate.
Yeah.
And you cannot take on more. Like, do not say yes just because you're a good person, because
Right.
you're a good guy. And I tell you, man, because
Yeah.
for many years, Gustavo, I did that.
Yeah.
I used to commit because, I wanted to make sure that I can help. So I will commit to things,
Yeah.
right? Or those situations usually notice that they do procrastination. Another thing you said right now too, and I wrote it down here, is the fear of like you cannot move forward, you cannot clean the table, right? You cannot just throw everything away if you still have a lot of baggage that you're dealing with.
Yes.
2010, I lost my first business. It was a restaurant, accumulated thousands of dollars of debt. And for many years, Gustavo, I wouldn't tell anyone because of the shame and the
Yeah.
fear. And
Yeah.
I mean, you had everyone, IRS calling me, everyone. Gustavo, it was one of the worst seasons of my life, I could say, looking back at it. But now that I needed that to break me out of my shell, to take on
Yes.
problems head on. You know what I mean? So what do you think happens in the mind of the human being when they're so stuck in the fear that they cannot take action on either doing the call or even saying no to a commitment that they know they just don't want to do? What happens there?
Yeah. But so powerful. And I think it goes back to okay. The more I learn about myself, the more I learn about others as well. And so I have realized that a lot of we make every single decision based on the level based on the level of mindset and consciousness that we have. And so we can make decisions from fear, meaning I have to say yes to everything because I have the fear of losing it, right? That can happen. So say, for example, in our business, I was just saying this example a couple of days ago. When we try to catch two birds, we catch none. So there is a balance between saying yes to everything, which on one hand can allow you to discover things and kind of like a niche in the business that maybe you like doing best. But at the same time, it's very, very tricky because when we say yes to everything, where is that coming from? And a lot of times comes from the fear of losing it. Meaning I have to say yes to every single opportunity because internally, subconsciously, there's a part of me that fears losing opportunities or kind of like going back to zero. So again, learning that the more that we can learn about ourselves and the quicker we get to, just like a muscle, work our courage, then the easier life feels. When we have the courage to say no, bro, that's so powerful. Learning to say no, creating boundaries. around our business, boundaries around our life, our friends, our circle. Um, but again, most of the times I feel most human beings are going through life like on how do you say piloto automático, on autopilot,
Autopilot.
and we're just kind of like floating with the wind. But just having connecting with the courage and connecting with our personal power to say sometimes the best thing we can say is no.